Hi guys, thanks for taking the time to watch this. This is going to go through the lesson that we did live today about how to find the volume of compound shapes made from rectangular prisms. So our goal for today is to be able to calculate the volume of composite or compound shapes made up of rectangular prisms. These are shapes that look a little bit like this, okay? When you've got an L shape, how do you find the volume of that shape? So the first thing we need to think about when we do this is what shapes do you see, and then thinking about what formula to use, and then how do you find the volume of each of those shapes. So if we look at this, we've got um, two shapes there. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the volume of each of those shapes individually, and then we're going to add them together. So if I think about this shape here, okay, I've got that bottom rectangular prism, okay, that I know has dimensions 9 and 8 and 4. Okay, so I know I'm going to call that shape 1. So to find the volume of shape 1, all I'm going to do is length times width times height. So I've got 9 times 8 times 4. That's going to give me 288, okay, yards cubed, because we're talking about volume. Okay, so if we've got 288 yards cubed, just checking my math here, 9 times 8 times 4 is 288. So what we're going to do then is we're also going to find the volume of that top shape. So if we look at that top shape there, okay, we're going to call that shape 2. We know the volume of that shape is going to be length times width times height again, because it's a rectangular prism. And we're going to go 4 times 3 times 2. So that's going to give us an answer of 24 yards cubed. So what we've done is we've found the volume of both of those shapes. What we need to do now is we need to be able to put them together. So what we're doing is we're going to find the total volume is 24 plus 288, which is going to give us an answer of 312 yards cubed. So when we think about what we're doing here, we've found the volume of that shape by adding the volume together of those two shapes. So what we need to do now is think about how we would do this from a shape that looks a little bit more like an L. Those were two really clear shapes before. This one here looks like one shape. So what we need to do is we need to figure out how to split this. So what some of us might do to split this, some of us might go straight across here. Okay, and that would split it into a bottom rectangular prism and a top rectangular prism. That's one way to do that. Others of us might split it vertically. Today in all of my classes, more people did it this way, so we're going to go through the example like this also. But basically what we've got now is we've got two rectangular prisms. We've got one here and a second one here. So what we need to do is we need to find the volume of each of them. So that first one there, let me change the color. So we're going to say the first one's blue. So the volume of that first shape, what we're going to do is think about length times width times height again. And we've got a 7 and a 3 as our measurements for sure that we're going to use. Okay, but the tricky part is that we know 7 and 3, but right now I don't know what this is. Okay, so what you're going to do to find that side measurement, we don't really know what it is we're going to look at what's parallel to it. Well, this side is parallel, but that doesn't have a number. This side is parallel, doesn't have a number. So these are like train tracks. They're making train tracks. This side is here is parallel, doesn't have a number. Oh, this side is parallel, and it does have a number. So that means this side length is 10 centimeters. Okay, so what we can do then is we can say, okay, so to find the volume, I know it's 7 times 3 times 10. So this is going to be 21 times 10, which is 210 centimeters cubed. So that's the volume from the first shape. Now the second shape, okay, we need to find the volume of. We've got a 4 and we've got a 10, so we know the volume of that second shape. So that 2 there, and this should have a 1 here, represents the names of the shape. Okay? So, sorry, something's not sticking. I'm not sure why. We're going to go length times width times height, and I've got a 4 and I've got a 10. Remember, it doesn't really matter which one's length, width, or height. But the problem is, I don't know this measurement right here. Okay? In class this morning, we talked about how we know that it's not 8. 8 is the whole way across. And what we're looking for is just this piece. okay? So what we need to think about here is how can we know the total? And then do we know what this part is? Okay, and the answer to that is yes. We know that part is 3 because it's the same as the top, okay? So if this part's 3 and this part's 8, that means this piece right here is going to be 5 centimeters, okay? So that's the other number then we can use in our volume formula. 4 times 5 times 10, 40 times 5 is going to be 200 centimeters cubed. And then all we do to find the total is we add them together. 200 plus 210 is 410 centimeters cubed. Okay, so that's a shape like that. That's an L shape, breaking it down into two blocks basically. Okay, so typically what students struggle with the most is, is how to find those missing measurements. So these are just some quick little tricks. So if I'm trying to find what x is, what I know is I'm going to look for the sides that are parallel. So there's a 10, there's an x, and here's a 23. What I need to think about is all those are parallel to each other, so I can compare them all. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, well, if I know that's 10 there, I know it's 10 at the bottom here. So if this whole thing is 23, this part has to be a 13, or this has to be 23 minus 10, okay, which we know is equal to 13. So when we think about what we're doing here, you have to think about these two pieces adding up to give you 23. So to find that missing piece, you subtract. On this side here, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Thanks for being patient with my technology, guys. On this side here, we're finding this side, and it's parallel to this and to this, okay? So what we can think about, though, is y on this side is bigger. So this part would be 7, and this part would be 4. So in total, that distance there would be 11, okay? So kind of a quick trick that you can use with this is on the first one, okay, we knew that we were finding a smaller side, so we subtracted. On this one, we were finding a larger side, so we were going to add those two together. Okay, so that's just kind of a trick you can use to try to help yourself remember. So we're going to do one more problem together, and then you guys can go ahead and try this on your own. Your work today is going to be on Canvas, so you'll be able to know right away if you're right or wrong. So looking at this, okay, the first thing I need to do is I need to split this shape up into two shapes that I can find the volume of. Based on our work today, more people chose to split it up and down, so that's how I'm going to do this now. Oops, that's not working. Okay, and I'm going to label that shape 1 and shape 2. Okay, now I know that shape 2 has a bunch of numbers near it, so I'm going to actually find the volume of shape 2 first, because that way then I can use my numbers that are there. So if the volume is equal to length times width times height, I'm going to have 2 by 3, but then I have to decide, am I using the 8 or am I using the 12? Well, if I think about what part of my shape I'm actually finding here, this is the shape I care about, which is the 8. So I'm going to use 2 times 3 times 12. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying this backwards. 2 times 3 times 8. So that's going to give us a volume of 48 inches cubed. Okay? So that's the volume of that first part there. Now, the volume of the second piece, or the first piece, okay, depending on how we labeled it, I see that we're going to use a 10, which is great, but I don't see any other numbers, and that could be confusing. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to erase these measurements so we can see really clearly what we're talking about. So I know one number I'm going to use for this is going to be 10, okay, because that's a part of my shape here. Now, am I going to use the 12? The 12 is at the bottom here, but that 12 only goes all the way across, and what we want is just part of this, okay? So what we have to think about here, okay, is if 12 is the whole way across, We know this part is 8. So this piece here has to be 12 minus 8, which is equal to 4. Okay. So once we've got that figured out, now we know we're going to have 10 times 4. Okay. But we also have to find, oh dear guys, we also have to find this measurement. So I'm going to use my parallel trick, draw them that's parallel. Oh, it catches a 2. So 10 times 4 times 2. So we're going to go ahead and multiply that. We're going to get 80 inches cubed. And then to find the total, we add our totals together. So your total is going to be 48 plus 80, which is 128 inches cubed. Okay, so this is just a quick video of what we talked about today in class. Your lesson or your assignment, is on Canvas, so please make sure you're taking care of that and getting that done. Email me if you have any questions. Also, if you're watching this on Wednesday, March 25th, this is the last day for you to submit your work from March the 18th, a week ago. So please make sure you're getting that done. If you have any questions, send me an email. I'll try to get back to you and help you out. So take care. Hope you're all doing well. Let me know if you need anything. Bye-bye.